Hello, everybody. Welcome to another brand new episode of the Top 10. I am John Rocha.
And I am Matt Knost, and we're here to bring you another week of movie talk. Thanks to one of our patrons, Mr. Lawrence Witt, I believe, gave us a great topic. And we are going to, oh, no, I'm sorry. This is Josh Rivera. Josh Rivera.
Oh, okay.
My apologies, Josh. So, yeah, suggested a great topic. But I did see some artwork for the next Transformers. And I mean, did you get any kind of a chub? Did you see? Well, there's a silverback.
At this age, it gets a little hard to get the chub. But I tell you what, I did get excited. I got the nerd chub because it's Beast Wars. And I don't know how many of the people who are listening to us or watching us, we're doing live for our $10 and above patrons. They're getting to listen and watch the show ahead of time of everybody else. But I don't know how many of them were fans of the Beast Wars back in the 90s. But that run of Transformers stuff saved Transformers because it had kind of run its course. So the irony that it's coming back in essence to try to save Transformers yet again is kind of poetic justice in a way. So, or poetic in a way. So I like that. But yeah, I'm a fan of it. You know, we're going to have, apparently it's 300 years in the future, but yet it's like prehistoric creatures. So it's a bit confusing, my man.
Sure. I just saw the one still. And
oh, yeah.
You're not the only Transformers fan that I have in my life. So I instantly go through the Rolodex of, I wonder who's the most excited right now.
Yeah.
Does it look cool? Yes, undeniably. It looks great. I have no trust behind, no trust for the individuals, but the brain trust, as it were, for this project.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got Stephen Cable Jr., who did Creed 2. I liked Creed 2. I don't know how you feel about Creed 2.
Never saw it.
Oh, okay. And then they don't have Michael Bay involved in the minutia of it, but they did say in the press conference it was going to be an intimate story, but with the spectacle of the Michael Bay film. So I don't know. It seems to me.
I don't know either. I don't know. You're trying to walk a line, and that's beyond the thinnest of lines, you know.
That's what I'm worried about, Matt, is like, what's the truth here, you know?
Yeah, this isn't a slack line where those things are actually wider than a regular rope. It's still really difficult to do. No, this is fucking dental floss. Because I don't think you can do it. I mean, unless they're trying to take some of the aspect of Bumblebee and then maybe more of the style of a Michael Bay, because perhaps that resonated better than the retro futurish from Bumblebee.
Yeah, maybe. It's a tall order, man. It's a lot to ask for sure. And you're right. I mean, a lot of people who are Transformers fans have been burnt by the movies, but a lot of people who love those movies didn't like Bumblebee and didn't go see it in the theaters at the same numbers. Of course, some people say, oh, maybe that was a little bit Transformers fatigue, because last night had only been a year and a half earlier. I mean, maybe. I think people are going to go see, for the most part, I think people are going to go see a good movie if it's a damn good movie, especially if it's a tentpole picture. It's rare that a big tentpole picture that gets reviewed really well doesn't do well at the box office. That's kind of rare. So
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know on that one, because it did seem to be the problem is the movie did well at the box office.
It did. Oh, yeah, it did good at the box office.
For return on investment, it did well. It just didn't do Banana Times Transformers well.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. It's like Michael Bay is going to do it, then it's going to make $1.2 billion for an investment of $250 million. That's not bad. It just, Bumblebee did what, like 550?
468.
468.
Worldwide. Yeah. And it was made for about 135 million was the budget.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
All right.
I mean, 3 and what, a third over your budget?
Yeah, but 2.5 times when you start to see profit.
Exactly.
So 270. So 132, so 315. So maybe it's all about $150 million of profit. Being generous. Maybe it's all 100. That's not a lot for a studio.
Now it lives on in streaming and
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah,
video on demand purchases.
Yeah.
And everything else. I agree. It just didn't do Transformers. Hey, this schlock fest with a tenuous hold on its own pilot and meanders and veers off course for no reason. I mean, just all of a sudden you're in a different location. No explanation as to why the story genuinely needed to progress to this specific location.
Yeah.
That aside, fuck it. We don't need it because we got 50-foot robots. So
China. We're going to China.
Out of nowhere. Just that movie backwards and forwards. Like, what? Why is this the just blatant product placement? Just blatant.
Don't ask questions, Matt. We're going to China.
Just a guarantee that they can open at the Chinese market.
Exactly.
As if they weren't going to open at the Chinese market anyway.
Budget. Money is money, man. You got to make that money. That's what it's all about. So,
I mean, sure, it is a pure capitalistic endeavor.
Yeah. That's what infuriates me sometimes. People go, why do you bring up money? And it's like, because you can't divorce the two. You cannot divorce money from the quality of the film. And by that, I mean, and I hope people hear out the rest of the sentence here before they comment. By that, I mean, studios, sure, they want to make good movies, but only because it can lead to great box office. That's the only reason. It's a business. They're not making movies to not make money,
1,000%. But some endeavors are solely to make money, which at this point to me Transformers is.
Well,
like the artistic merit is only to facilitate selling more tickets in this.
Well, I think it depends on how you look at it, right? Like the artistic merit, the designs of these Transformers are incredible. So there's artistry there, certainly from the special effects people and from the people who design them.
I'm not saying that they're not all talented at their job. They are.
Right.
But please continue.
No, I was going to say, but storyline wise, I think you have a valid point there.
Yeah. It's fine though. It's like if you go into it with those, now I won't watch. I didn't see Last Night, First Night, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
It's the only one I haven't seen though. And potentially will I see this next one? There's a damn good chance.
I kind of wish there was Thunderdome back again and the fans could vote on you to watch Last Night.
We'd have to watch it live together so I can make fun of it. And you have to try and defend it to me.
I would absolutely do a watch along of Last Night. I have no qualms about doing that. I got it 4K. I can pop it on 5 right now. I got no problems with that. I like that movie. It's a nutty movie.
Are you saying you know a way to pipe that in so it's like on a third window and I'm just watching it smaller on this stream?
Oh, absolutely. I could probably share the screen in some format or in some way for us to be able to do that for sure. I think there's a way to do that, or I can figure out. We landed on the fucking moon. I'm sure I can figure out how to stream a movie to both of us for people to watch along with. So
quite possibly.
I just feel like,
Yeah, but we landed on a moon, sure. You and I had nothing to do with it.
That's a fair point. We were not involved in the process in any way, shape,
I'm not saying you couldn't stream it, but I mean, the technicality of, yes, we landed on a moon. We also invented fire and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We've done quite a bit collectively.
It's true. So how are you doing, man? Are you venturing back out there, man? Are you going to things? Are you, all my friends are hanging out and sending pictures at bars and movies and all restaurants and all this shit. No, but how are you doing with it?
Yeah, I'm good. As long as I just follow whatever the guidelines are. Yeah. I'm curious as to when the mask mandate is going to come down. Well, just saying at businesses because they can do whatever they want. Right. And I don't care. I just carry a mask with me, and I still use it. But I have been in a few places where I'm the only person, or I'm 25% of people now. In certain, like you go to 7-Eleven, there's 5 people in there. 3 of them may not have a mask. Yeah. That same thing here. Okay.
So yeah.
Which is fine. I'm inoculated just as you are. Well, at least I have a better defense just as you do now. Can still get it. Look, Chris Paul, you can still get it.
Wow. That was kind of a shock.
Yeah.
But then again, the Yankees, 8 of those Yankees tested positive and they were vaccinated. So you just never know.
Yeah, you don't.
All right. Matt Knost, what's your feeling here? Ben Simmons, do you trade this guy? Do you believe Doc Rivers later saying we're gonna coach this dude up and get him ready? Or do you think Daryl Morey's on the phone right now with like 10 different phones to his ear trying to make it happen?
I would assume Daryl's going to take the wait and see approach because right now his stock is at an all-time low.
It is.
But
you're not going to get much for him.
Exactly. In 2 months, teams, some of the front offices will have talked themselves into, you know what, though? I think we could do it. Kid's got all the talent in the world. He's already been an all-star. We just got to teach him a couple offensive moves.
That's crazy. He's a 3-time all-star, Matt. 3 times. What the fuck happened in those years that he was a 3-time all-star?
Well, because he was young and his potential was through the roof.
Yeah, I guess.
And now it's regressed to a degree where I already had a problem with it 2 years ago. It was like, dude, can you give me any kind of shot? Anything.
Yeah.
Post-game something. Because the intangibles you have, your size, your speed, court vision, defensive ability, and defensive ability not foul. It's like insanely impressive. How about a 2-foot game?
Right.
And then we build out from there, please. Please. Because you're asking Joel to do too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that team fell apart. Atlanta looks, Jesus Christ.
Wow, dude.
That was a good game.
48 points for Trey.
That was a good game.
Yeah, man. I thought for sure the Bucks were just going to kind of, stomp all over them in the first game, and the Hawks would fight back, and it would be close. But then maybe the Bucks win this thing in 6. If Atlanta somehow finds a way to win the next game, Matt, holy shit! I mean, that would just be insane. And now you could start planning Devin Booker versus Trey Young. You can start planning it now.
Well, that being said, the Bucks held serve for almost the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
It was always close, but they held serve.
You're right.
Now, it seemed like Atlanta's buckets came easier to them, whereas Milwaukee had to work harder, especially in the second half. At least that's my memory of it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. The world is not upside down for Milwaukee. It's one game. Fine. Now you got to win 4 out of the next 6. Now, yeah, you're right. They lose the next one, you're in trouble. Just like the Clippers tonight. If you go down 0-3, you might as well just go ahead and shut Kawhi down for the season.
Yeah.
Because he's not playing game 3.
Yeah.
So
that alley.
I know it's good time of year, man. It's a good time of year. There's a lot of good basketball.
Yeah.
It's been some excellent games.
Dude, that Suns Clippers game was stellar. Was fantastic.
Save for the 20 minutes of reviews.
Oh my God. Right. But that's, I always factor that in because I'm like, I've seen so many of these games. They're going to do that. But dude, Tyronn Lue is a bitch, man. I mean, trying to sneak other players onto the court, pretending as if he didn't know the rule, man. That's a crafty little thing. That's a crafty move, man.
Yeah, that's gamesmanship. But when it's taking forever to sort it out and they have to go to the review, that's when it's like, come on, man.
Right.
You know that you can't do that. We all know sitting at home, you can't do that. And the announcers are talking about it ad nauseum, which if he didn't know, it got back to his bench by then, just FYI.
Right.
So he knew full well, and they're just stalling for time to try and set up and like, damn it.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson, get your ass on the bench because you know you weren't in that last play. Nick Batum,
let's go.
Waddle back on, buddy. You're playing.
Yeah. Someone said longest ending since Return of the King. Mason Sasser said. It
was so stupid, but the action was so good.
Oh, it was worth it.
I don't care.
It was worth it.
That 50-50 ball, or not even 50-50 ball, that Bev knockout of on the turnover, that's BS. Yeah. He may have touched it last, but that is BS.
Yeah, but the ball wouldn't have been going out of bounds if Beverly doesn't hit it. So that's, I think, who was it? It was calling the game. They said, I think
Van Gundy was.
Yeah, Van Gundy. Yeah.
As he was saying it, I was already having the same thought of like, that's not the spirit of the law.
Right. He said at any other time in the game, it's definitely Suns ball. So why are we doing this here?
And it is.
And then he got really dramatic. He was like, this is bad for the entire game, for the NBA. It is. Like, it's just a bad call, man. Calm down.
Well, because it sets a precedent.
Sure.
So now.
Yeah, but not a precedent. Do you think it's a precedent the refs are going to listen to? I don't think so. What do you think?
Who knows? I have no idea. But there's no way for it not to touch Devin Booker last.
Right.
by the science of it.
Yeah.
So it's guaranteed he's going to touch it last in that instance, just like it on every other possession. So what are we talking about here? So if a defender goes for it at any point, it's just an automatic turnover. No, I mean, okay, well, that's BS, and we all know it.
Right.
But it was still a great game, unless you're a Clippers fan. But as an agnostic, I just want to see a good game. That was a good game.
Yeah. The alley-oop was incredible. Oh my God. And Jay Crowder of all people with the pass. Like I didn't even know Jay could be that good of a passer. It was pinpoint perfect. Hit it just above Zubac's hand right into DeAndre's too. And I initially thought goaltending as well, but then when they clarified that it's not a live ball, I was like, oh damn. Okay, cool.
Phoenix ran that play 4 years ago.
Yes, right. My friend Mark sent me the article about that play like within an hour. I'm like, how the fuck did you find this?
Oh, I remember
this.
In my head, I thought it was Brad Stevens. I was like, wasn't that a Celtics play? And then I just did a quick search.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, there it is. It was against Memphis. Phoenix. Tyson Chandler dunked it over. And then they talked about it like, what an interesting little loophole within the rules. And you haven't seen it since.
Yeah. Nope.
It's a great play.
Mm-hmm.
Now teams are going to be looking for it, so you're not going to be able to pull it off as much. But they already should have been looking for it because it was used in a game. Everybody should have that in their bag.
Well, Devin did a great job on that screen. And people are going to claim there was holding or fouling or whatever, dude. It's the last play of the fucking game, man.
Exactly. It's conference finals.
Exactly. People are going to finagle whatever they can finagle. Yeah.
That one's not egregious. There are other times where it's just like, that's clearly a foul. I don't care if it's the end of the game, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
To influence that. I mean, if you threw a dude down, there's no way.
Exactly.
Something ridiculous. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to tonight and then tomorrow night and then the night after that. And then it's going to be it's going to be sad when it's over, man.
I know, dude. I know. My girlfriend was like, we had to watch RuPaul's Drag Race for the she's watching catching up because the new season drops tonight. Just so I could watch the second half in the main living room with the bigger television. I was just like, I'll absolutely watch an episode or two of this if I can get to watch that second half. And man, watching that second half was fucking stellar. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had it on the computer while I was sitting there and she was watching. I was like looking up but it was that second half that, the Suns were up by 10 and the Clippers stormed back. So you got to give the Clippers a lot of credit for fighting back. And Paul, you got to feel
Paul George hits one of those two. That's a different, dude, it could be a different outcome.
You feel so. This was the first time I felt bad for Paul because honestly, and Tyrone Lue said it best afterwards. We wouldn't even be in this position if it wasn't for Paul George. He's fucking right. So it's a shame that he had to miss because people are going to come after him, and it's a shame he had to miss both those free throws. Man, it's a shame.
But I think he built up enough good grace that
agree.
I didn't see a lot of the usual PG hate on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody at this point. Now, if it happens tonight again and then the next night or something,
then we got
that's a problem.
Right.
But they've been down 0-2 twice. So
yeah, they've been here before.
It's just not a good place to be.
No. But also if they hadn't hit, I think everyone's thinking about the alley-oop. That's another reason why it's covered as well. Like you're right. He engendered enough goodwill, but also that alley-oop was such an incredible play.
Yeah.
And the odds of that working were so long. So, PG kind of had done enough possibly to win that game, even though he missed those two free throws. They were still in position to win by 1 point if they mess that pass up or the dunk doesn't go through. So,
it comes just down to how are you not protecting against this anyway if they're going up for a further back alley-oop or just a dish to the low post.
Yeah,
should be your primary concern. They only need 1 point to tie this, so they're going to take the lead.
Do you think Beverly conked Booker's nose on purpose?
No.
Okay.
Really? Is there speculation about that?
I'm speculating. Play. I'm speculating because you know how rough Beverly can be, and they go after stars, man. They go after the young kids' time. That's how the game is. Kind of toughen you up a little bit. So.
True, but in that instance, because Beverly was bleeding too, and he was like, "I'm bleeding." You initiated that contact, so exactly. I sided with the Suns on that one. It's like, nah, you know damned well what you did there.
Yeah.
You did Pat Beverly things.
as you want to do.
Pat
Beverly.
The dirtier Marcus Smart.
That's
Marcus does it. It feels like it's a good play on something like that.
Yeah.
Beverly, it's just like, did you try and hurt me right there?
There's a reputation with Beverly.
A little bit. Just like Zaza and a few other guys over the years. Bowen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Carlisle to the Pacers. I think that's a nice move. Why not? End your career coaching the team you kind of made your bones with. That is a nice move.
We'll see.
All right.
Yeah, that's so do I. It's Carlisle's an upgrade, but I'm curious to see what he's like.
Yeah.
Just as like how he's going through this, because it was such a huge, like out of nowhere kind of ending to all of us. There were rumblings before, but it seemed like he was going to be there, and then to find out that him and Luka had a lot of friction.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, you got to side with Luka on this. I understand, and he's been there for long enough. And they didn't. They could have gotten draft compensation because he's still under contract, and Mark Cuban waived that. So they're trying to be good about
accommodating.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be intrigued to see how he bounces back, and can he coach these young guys up? Should be able to, though.
I agree. I think so too. Let's swing it back to entertainment. What was your reaction when you saw Michael Keaton on the set of The Flash, man? What about you? Did you get a chub there? Did you get a little bit of a chub there?
I happened to see one picture. I wasn't searching for it, but I did see it. And I don't pay attention to, I purposefully don't go out and see that. So I don't get jazzed about it because it's not something I want to see.
You don't want to see Michael Keaton back as Batman, or do you mean any pictures of it till the trailer comes out?
Yeah. But I don't even care if I see the trailer.
Oh, okay.
If I'm going to see it, then I'm going to see it type of thing.
Gotcha.
So it's cool. I hope it's awesome. Who doesn't love Michael Keaton?
Right.
At least I'm speaking as, once again, we as the individuals that created Fire doesn't love Michael Keaton. It's a royal we and a plural simultaneously.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like Michael Keaton.
He's great. He is great. I love him in damn near everything he does.
I don't think that gene's been invented to hate Michael Keaton.
I mean, somebody does. Inevitably.
Sure, an ex-girlfriend or ex-wife might. That's possible.
Well, I know he was putting out stuff before the last election that engendered a little bit of hate his direction.
Yeah.
I
could see that.
Yeah, which is going to happen. It's an election.
Yeah.
But they could also talk themselves into it, especially if they're our age, and be like, oh, he was Batman for me.
Exactly.
He's been there for me.
He's my Batman.
I still like that guy. Did you like the picture? Did it get you even more jazzed?
Yeah, I mean, I like that they're, leading into he's the older guy. They had a picture of the car, which is very reminiscent of the Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. So I like that. So that was, even though it's like just a regular car, it has that vibe to it. So I like that. And, I'm curious to see if they pull it off. I liked seeing the picture of Supergirl as well, Sasha Calle in her Supergirl outfit. So to me, it's more like, please just pull this off. I hope it's a fun film. I hope we don't have to talk ourselves into liking this film, which sometimes happens because of our nostalgia. Yeah. So that's where my mind goes.
Is it still Ezra Miller?
It is still Ezra Miller. And there are pictures of him on set as well. So it is still Ezra Miller. That's not changing anytime at all. So that's, I agree with that. They're uncomfortable with that one. Yeah.
Well, I like him. I just don't.
Sure.
He seems miscast to me.
The Flash. Okay.
Yeah. Or his interpretation doesn't ring as true to me.
Gotcha.
But I also don't have as strong a connection to Flash
as other people do.
Yeah, as others. And the Justice League team up, like I didn't read those comics except sparingly. I have watched a bunch of the straight to DVD or those movies. And there's some really good ones in that mix. But I read Batman, and that was kind of it from DC.
Right. You're a big Batman guy.
Yeah. But the rest of DC, just like, I prefer Marvel. I'll take X-Men. I'll take, Daredevil. I'll take Iron Man, and read the team ups. If I'm going to read the team ups, I'm going to do it over here.
Right.
But that was just my choice. Turns out, I missed some good storylines there by skipping them in the prime of when I was reading comic books so much. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have as much of a connection to Flash.
Right.
That's so I don't know how good this is in the full, amount of it, but I like him. If you ever seen like Perks of Being a Wallflower, he's excellent.
Yeah, it's just that they've got to, kind of figure out, what happened with him and that girl, choking that girl out. You just got to figure that out at some point because people are clamoring about it. People are talking about it. Not enough, obviously, for WB to recast him, but certainly enough people are talking about it. So we'll see if they ever address it down the road. So
I didn't realize he had one of those types of things looming over him.
Yeah, there was a video, and it's been taken down. Sorry about that. I'm adjusting my mic on a new side of the desk, so I'm just playing around with it. But yeah, there was a video with him like choke. A girl was like kind of playing around, threatening him, and people videotaped it. It was outside this British bar, and I think he like grabbed her, put her up against the dumpster, and then put her down on the ground. And it kind of had the vibe of being playful, but then there was all this stuff from them saying, "Oh, my friend was just attacked by Ezra Miller." But then they took the video down. All the accounts were squared away. So I wonder if WB just kind of paid them off and made them, keep quiet, or if it was all a big stupid prank. But they've never come out and said one fucking thing about it. No one has. So it's one of the weirdest things that you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they haven't said anything about it. So
who knows? Speculative, as to why it happened. You can conjure what if it was a completely contrived and false thing and they knew it. And WB came back out with them proof and be like, you really want to go down this route? Because we'll mess you up. And you're like, we're just going to take those down.
We'll just go ahead and take those down.
Here's a picture of our 15 lawyers.
You know what? You kind of talked me into it. All right, I'll take it down.
Yeah, I was trying to scam you guys for like 10 grand or something, but that's going to cost me the first month. So
yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I'll just take that down.
But then if they did that, just come out and say something. That's the thing at the end of it. Just come out and say something.
It could be anything. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? You can conjure up they're covering it up. The other side is covering their tracks. The this, that, the other. They're all possible.
True. Anyway, all right. Should we jump into our list, or do you want to talk a little?
No, let's go for
Harrison Ford. All right, cool. Let's get into our list here. We are doing the top 10 films from Roger Deakins as the cinematographer of the film. So top 10 films with Roger Deakins as a cinematographer. I tell you, Matt, this was maybe one of the most difficult lists.
It's brutal.
I mean, I've ever had to make on my side of the fence personally. The last few like the first 5 were pretty much there, but everything else was a battle all the way down the line. And even now, I'm not 100% sure I'm correct for myself, but maybe today on this day that we're recording it, my list is correct, but my list could change on Monday. I don't know.
I know.
But for right now, this is my list. So,
and I tried to think of it from the perspective of, did I have any initial reaction to the cinematography walking out of it? And some of them I did, where that was part of the overall discussion, kind of like Mad Max Fury Road. You had the color of that storm and the landscapes and the way this was shot was done so beautifully. The over saturation of all the colors,
right?
But done selectively, like very effectively. So something like that, where I had the discussion, and that's how I tried to let that influence the list as best I could.
Yeah.
Because there are other movies that I left off that are awesome. They would, if I was just doing my favorite movies that he's been associated with, they more than likely would have made it.
Yeah.
But I don't think of the cinematography first. I'm not negating it. It's just these others stand out where the choices were very distinct.
Yeah, and I spent a couple hours on YouTube just watching, there's some great YouTube channels that have breakdowns of Deakins cinematography and separate clips. And that was a joy to just watch that, man. I mean, if nothing else, this topic has kind of woken me up again to enjoying Roger Deakins cinematography and some scenes where I just kind of forgotten about, watching them again and hearing the explanations, hearing him on some of those videos explaining what he was thinking and why he did what he did. It's incredible. I mean, what's phenomenal too is this is one of the most talented motherfuckers on the planet, and he treats his cinematography like this just makes sense to me. Like, it's not a big deal. And when people like him, you can tell he gets visibly uncomfortable when he gets compliments. Like, he starts to fidget or move around and get all this kind of stuff. Whereas other people who have maybe a little more of an ego would be like, yeah, that's right. Give it to me. So I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, but his world is through this quiet lens.
Good point.
So perhaps just being around that many people. But the more you look at his overall body of work, he's very much an artist because films end up as a canvas by the different types of lenses or the process by which they, do the film, render the film, depending if it was actually shot on film. But I know they did it for one movie on my list, or at least they tried to replicate anyway. Long, complicated process, but you see all of this, how much thought goes into the composition. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Overall.
Very much so. Very much so. All right. So we're going to do that. And it's inspired by Mr. Rivera, who sent in his suggestion. We'll read his list at the end of the show after we compile our list. Matt, how does the show work?
We set a topic, Josh did rather on this occasion. And we come up with our own lists, show back up here. I do a whole mess of them. He does a whole mess of them. And at the end, we combine the shows between the two of us.
Synergy.
Yep.
All right. What do you got?
So 10, like you said before, those last couple where it was like, I can make a case for this. I can make a case for this. So I went with Prisoners.
Oh, nice choice, dude. All right, go ahead.
For the overbearing effect, not overbearing, but the effect of the darkness of a lot of the frames, the overall look, this ominous like rain cloud, even though it does kind of rain a decent amount, but it hangs throughout the entire film. And for that, I remember walking out being affected by just the way it looked, the feeling overall, and how it captured me and pulled me in and brought me into this dark story.
Yeah.
God, it just has a nice couple twists and turns, and that ending is fantastic. I don't want, if you haven't seen it, please go see it. But because of that, that's why it ended up at 10. The overall look and feel of the movie had just as much of an effect as following along the story and having a connection to the individuals within it. So it was a nice marriage between the two.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, there were some great shots with Jake Gyllenhaal in the movie. I love the shot from behind him when he's looking at the maze on the ground and his hair goes through his head. Like, you know that place. You don't even have to see his face. You know that feeling. You know that frustration. We've all had that moment where it's like, I figure this out. What is going on here? You know, you've had those moments. And so that's a great placement. I mean, the stuff he does with the rain in the movie is really daunting. And then when you see the different locations, when they take poor Paul Dano into that house and kick the shit out of him, the shots he's using, the colors he's using, you know, all of that, the way he uses shadow in certain moments. I mean, it's a phenomenally composed film by him for sure. Yeah.
It feels grimy without it making it feel like they tried to make it grimy.
Yeah. You know, and you know, it having grown up in Virginia, being around a residential town like that, it felt very familiar. All of that, the way he encapsulated the atmosphere and the vibe with just the way he was setting the camera and the colors he was using and all the angles. It's like, oh man, you really captured what this situation would be like in a small town or in a town. Not necessarily small, but in a town for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my 10.
Cool. All right. What's your 9?
My number 9 is True Grit.
Oh, dude. The hardest cut on this list was True Grit. I mean, the hardest cut. But in the end, I was like, I got something else on there, so I'm going to cut. But I didn't want to cut it. It's beautifully shot, man.
It is gorgeous. And it's also a distinct take from the original. And it just choice after choice after choice. And the composition of the shots, it's also beautiful. He works so well with Coens because he brings a character to the overall scene, and it's populated by these individuals that are Coen-esque.
Yeah.
And in this one, with Matt Damon having bit his tongue and a one-eyed Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
Or Jeff Bridges, rather.
Jeff Bridges, right? Sorry.
Yeah. In the midst of this little girl, and then you throw in the other gang on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't know. It also makes it at 9. There was like 4 or 5 movies that are all kind of fluidly going through this 9 down through. And I had the most connection and resonance with True Grit of those, I think, on this level, at least, where the overall look of the film really helped sell.
Oh yeah.
The achievement of the project as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching an interview with him, with Deakins, and he was talking about that shot with the guy hanging from the tree way up top there, and when they roll up on him, Maddie and Rooster, and he said, like, he said, to me, that was the shot of the film. I had to get that. That's the shot that to me encapsulated the movie, and I really wanted to make that shot work. And so he spoke about how he composed that shot. It was incredible. And then he talked about that shot where the camera's like way far away and you see it start to rise up and they're coming over the hill, all 3 of them with the mountains above. He's like, holy shit, I totally forgot her. When Elizabeth Marvel shows up at the end, with her arm missing and stuff as Maddie, and she's walking towards the Wild West show, and from behind, and you see the composition of that shot. You're like, fuck. Even the shot of her father's death when she's a young girl, and it's in like that it's bathed in that light with the snow swirling around it. Man, it's incredible, dude. It's an incredibly well composed film, man.
And it did make your list.
I know. Trust me, I know. Couldn't talk to into it. What's your 8?
My 8 might be a punt for you.
Okay.
The assassination of Jesse James.
That is absolutely a punt.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that was my 8.
All right. So then my number 10, which is where I made the cut for True Grit, I put The Man Who Wasn't There at number 10.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
His noir.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan of film noir, of those black and white movies, what he was able to do together with composing this black and white film is gorgeous. And I think I watched a few scenes from it just to kind of really make sure I should put this on my list, and just where he places the camera, again, how he uses the light, the shot of Billy Bob on the couch as Scarlett Johansson is playing the piano. It's so uncomfortable. The scene in the car, the way he makes that all work, and then Gandolfini and the kind of way he lights him in certain moments, all of it to, I know we saw Mank rather, and that was great in black and white, but it's nowhere near what Deakins was doing in this movie in terms of the cinematography and the lighting and the way he was bringing back that feeling of noir throughout the whole movie. And I think it's Billy Bob Thornton's one of his best performances ever. Okay. And I think he just kind of shoots and lights the whole film in a way that brings you into this world, this timepiece, convincingly. So.
All right. So yeah. I did not have that strong a connection with that movie. So
okay.
Good for you.
All right. So then my number 9, this might be a punt from you. I don't know. My number 9 is The Shawshank Redemption.
It's a small punt.
Okay. All right. So then my number 8 is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
That's definitely a punt.
Okay. All right. What's your 7?
7 is No Country for Old Men.
Slight punt, but a punt.
Okay. So we're talking 5.
Yeah. What's your 6?
My 6 is Shawshank.
Okay. Let's talk about
it. So they managed to make a period piece without it feeling like a period piece. And I think it comes from the way visually that he was able to kind of process and deliver this world to us, helped sell that quite a bit. I mean, there's a million beautifully composed shots. Obviously, the most iconic being when Andy erupts out of the sewer.
Oh, hands up. Yeah,
and
in the rain.
Yeah, that just going from the God's eye straight up as he's cursing at the heavens and exalting his new, status of being free.
Yeah.
Off to Sewataneo. Is that what
Sewataneo? Yeah.
Sewataneo. Mm-hmm. Or was it Zay? I thought it was Say.
I think it's Zay. Maybe it's
Sewataneo. Okay.
I think it's Zay.
But I mean, over and over, it's just a gorgeous film to take in. and it's beautifully shot, like backwards and forwards.
Well, think about the shots, right? You think about, and it can be easy to forget the cinematography in this movie, but if you go back and rewatch it for the cinematography, you're bound to be blown away. You know, the scene on top of the building after they've paved the roof and they're drinking their beers, and the way the camera pans across is gorgeous. When he's playing the aria through the record player and seeing like the way the camera goes above, and you see all these prisoners stand up in an absolute just shock at what they're hearing. It's a incredibly well composed shot. But even the smaller stuff, like when that weird fucking dude is telling what's his face about killing.
Oh yeah, where you just see this cold kind of vicious face from the shadows.
Yeah, from the shadows in the light, and his giggling and all of that.
Yeah, menacing as all hell.
Yeah.
Oh, the simple composition of the warden looking through the hole.
Yeah,
it's great because it's
yes, the pullback. Yes, that's a great point, dude. Yep. From
inside the room, it's like, oh, there's a hole, but to see it there and just see this, how monumental a task it was just to get this far.
Yeah,
with a tiny little rock hammer.
But also, like when he's in the office and this thing, just the look of it and the way he makes the wood come to life with just a little bit of sheen, just a little bit of light across it, puts you into the world of this movie so effectively. I think it's just undeniable how good he is composing this movie.
I mean, it's just a movie that's going to stick with all of us.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one translates? Anyway, go ahead.
Do you remember the name of the old man in Saving Private Ryan?
The old man? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Of the individual that played Ryan?
Yeah, what's his name? What's Matt Damon's name? Private Ryan. That's it. That's his name? Just Private Ryan? Okay.
Well, no, it's James T. Ryan. James Ryan. But if you're asking about who the older actor's actual name is that plays him, I don't have the slightest clue on that.
Okay. All right. I think it's, bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, if that ever comes up on Schmodown, PJ is really scraping the bottom. I would imagine about to be 5150'd. Just clutching head. I don't know. Oh my God.
we had the other day, we had a terrible question about Barbara Babcock. And it's like, what? Okay, Harrison Young is the guy's name.
What was the question?
The question was, who plays the mom of Nicole Kidman in Far and Away? That was a 5-pointer. And everyone was like,
who the fuck knows that?
Exactly. Well, clearly the person didn't know that. And
did you?
No, I didn't fucking know. Are you kidding? I was like, are you insane to even ask a question like that? Holy shit. So,
that's impossible.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, yes, there are people out there that know that, but that's such a small sliver of individuals.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exactly what you said.
If that's a 5-pointer, then you're not taking into account inflation or something, because that feels like a 10 or a 15-pointer. I don't think, that seems a little rough. Whoever that was, they wanted that individual to lose. So.
Yeah, well.
Oh, luck of the draw. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about that. Where are we at right now? What number? 6?
That was your 6.
Okay. Yeah. So great stuff there. Even the shots of Zawataneo as the camera's pulling away is beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful. So great stuff.
To see the lone tree from a distance.
Oh, yeah.
Next to that wall.
With the obsidian or whatever, glass. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so then my number 7 is Fargo.
Okay, that was one of the tough cuts.
Yeah, really? You cut Fargo. Interesting. Yep. Okay. Yeah. And I wasn't sure if I was going to put it on my list till, as I said, I started watching those YouTube videos and started to see how you could easily discount this as like a smaller independent film. Obviously one of the first ones that Coen's had done, but when you're watching where he's setting the camera, how he's lighting these scenes and these moments in the cars and when they're in the cabin, and then of course, like that shot from outside when Lindegard is walking towards his car and he flips out on the car and shit like that. Like all of those shots, I think to me, are deceptively tougher than you think they are. And I think he did an incredible job lighting that movie and bringing the film to life with where he places the camera, even the camera moving around the house as he is like, wood chipping Steve Buscemi in the guise of Frances McDormand is really, really well done throughout. And all the shots of the snow. I mean, the car coming over the hill, the stationary camera just there, and then all of a sudden the car comes over the hill or the road, and you see all the snow. That's all. So just watching a little more scenes just talked me into putting Fargo on the list at 7. So yeah.
I know going out of that, I wasn't focused on the composition of the shots. Although the one with the wood chipper is undeniable. I do remember going out and like, oh, I love the camera movement within that. But the rest of it, perhaps it just takes more time to maybe look at it through that lens, but it still doesn't have that kind of resonance within me. But, once again, it's like 14 on this list.
Dude, I know. I'm with you. I don't think there's any fault anywhere on this. Whatever worked for you, worked for you. Yeah, for sure. All right, so then my number 6 is maybe the most surprising ranking for this movie. I thought it was going to be higher, but in the end, I just couldn't do it. I had to put it where I put it. Is Sicario.
Well, why don't we take a quick break?
So that sounds like a punt to me then. Okay.
Just a slight punt. And we'll hear this quick word from our sponsor. All right, there it was.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. So my number 5.
Yes.
No spoilers. Sicario.
Okay. Yes.
Just for when they're going down to El Paso, or no, is it El Paso? But they're actually going to go to Juarez.
Yeah,
so it's whatever that border Texas town is, and then you're going over to Juarez. And as they're flying in, you've never seen more lush landscape.
Oh yeah,
in the American Southwest, it is so gorgeous to look at, and it's the contrast between that and then 20 minutes later, they're driving through and there's a body hanging, and that where it's hanging underneath that bridge is so haunting.
You're right.
And there's numerous of those where you can go, like the opening scene where they go and they find the house. How grimy and oppressive it feels in there once you realize what's going on in the house, and then they go outside and it's just the Arizona sun beating down on you, and the polarity difference between those two is night and day.
Yeah.
There's just a million shots like that in there. It's a beautiful piece overall.
Yeah, it's a great point you bring up, Matt. And certainly the shot where we see all the soldiers in the early morning light as they're walking across, that is stellar as well. Look, I'm going to move my drink. God damn it, I keep hitting it. But yeah, that is stellar as well. All of that they're doing there. The shot of Emily Blunt in the shower, it's kind of bathed in a little bit of that grimy yellow. And she's got the blood coming off her head from the cut and the fight with John Bernthal, all of that there. And then you see when they go into the tunnels, all of that, the way it's framed is so well done.
Through, just feeling the claustrophobic nature of it, but they're just these little serpents coming through in the night to snuff out other serpents.
Yeah. And then even the scene near the end with the at the table with all that drug dealer's family, the way he moves that camera and frames it and puts it in certain spots, you're just like, man, this is just a pro at work making this thing come to life. Again, I think, yes, he makes beautiful films, and we'll get to the big epic kind of films in the top 5 here. But these kind of smaller, more /independent vibe films, or even medium-sized films, he brings complexity to the shots, with how he plays with light, how he plays with the lenses, how he plays with the shutters and the camera. All of it just works so well to bring a little more of a weight to what you're watching. And I think I could argue in some cases it signifies that how great he actually is in those shots more than the sweeping landscape, sun just coming up during golden hour type shots that he could. It's those little shots that really kind of get you in the mood of a movie, you know?
Well, I think it's also, they have different presentations for different types. So within this, you need to feel the tension. Yeah. Whereas in other movies, that tension needs to be drawn out over the course of, you know, something, a punt of yours from earlier that's going to come up. Just like it is drawn, it needs to be to tell that type of story. Whereas in Sicario, it's, I don't know, just all these tights, especially like when they're in the cars on the bridge. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The way the camera is going between all the different people and you see those dudes rolling up and you're like, don't do it. Don't do it. This is really stupid. This is really stupid. Yeah. Why do you feel compelled to do this? You really shouldn't. Yeah. You know, you're about to die for another man's wealth.
And then even him showing up at the end at her house, the way he kind of disappears through this, all that. It's just like the way the camera's set, like from the kitchen. It's just genius, man. Just absolute genius.
Well, yeah. Now the devil is the devil to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It sucks when your demon turns on you.
But the demon always turns on you.
Exactly. Frankenstein's monster will, but he's still doing it at the behest of a different form of the government.
Yeah, right. Right.
So it's just getting compliance, and who's in the wrong here? We all seem kind of wrong here.
Yeah.
Maybe some more than others, but none of this feels good.
You should have never done the sequel without him. Should have never done the sequel without Villeneuve. Probably would have never gotten made, but still, they should have never.
True. Yeah. I don't hate the sequel.
I don't either.
I just don't love it.
Right. Right.
I've watched it more than once, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So and I totally would watch it again. I just would rather watch this.
Agreed. Okay. So we're up to my 5 then? Yes. Yep. So my 5 is The Punt from Early, No Country for Old Men. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, this is a film, and we've talked about it on the show numerous times, but this is a film that has just really kind of become more resonant for me as I've gotten older. And now going back and rewatching some of the scenes removed from the story, just watching the way Deakins composes the shots in the movie from that late night when he's going back to check to make sure that he like covered his tracks or make sure all that stuff is what's happening when he's giving the water to that dude and whatever, you know, all of that.
Anton Chigurh's shadow.
Yeah. Right.
And that shot of just, you can hear the beep, even, and the shadow just stops and you're like, oh my God, you don't realize that Jaws is standing outside of your motel room right now. You don't realize that. That sucks. Oh.
And the way he shoots the scene with the clerk behind the counter, just brilliant stuff. And then of course later on when he's shooting stuff with Chigurh and him in that hotel room and everything that he does, and then in the store when he blows up the car, right, to kind of distract people, how he's like pulling back and watching Chigurh walk amongst. I mean, we've seen, right, people walking from explosions as slow motion. This is a completely different composition, and he's not in slow motion. He's just walking. It's the inevitability of death coming towards you with flames and fire all around him. It's incredible.
I love, there's a simple shot early on when he chokes out that deputy.
Oh yeah, the camera moving, and you see the scars on the ground.
You see the scuff marks from the soles of his shoes, because you didn't see him technically die. That happened off screen.
Yep.
So to just see the aftermath of how much that dude struggled within that shot, that told you everything. You didn't need to see the person die. There is agony, pain, and defeat right there.
Yep.
Show me, don't tell me. This is just a different way to show me, and it's actually scarier.
Yeah. So much about it. I mean, the late night stuff, the early morning stuff that he shoots, all of that, the way he makes it work within the construct of the film. Even when they're coming out in broad daylight, when Tommy Lee Jones and his deputy Garrett Dillahunt, I think the guy's actor's name is, they're riding out to survey what happened with the drug deal gone wrong. The brightness of the landscape, how it bounces off these guys. is just so powerfully done by Deakins and shot so well. It puts you right in the mood of the desert, right? You can sense you've been in a moment like that where you sense the brightness of being out there in a place like that. So yeah, just all of it is so well done. And even the small shot at the end with him and the Irish actress when they're having that back and forth about you
breakfast?
shouldn't do this. Yeah. You don't need to do this.
It's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, man. So good. All right, what's your 4, brother?
My 4 is Skyfall.
That's my 4. Absolutely.
Has one of the most beautiful shots you're ever going to see in a movie. I don't care what, but that fight in the glass office with the reflections of the advertisement from across the way and everything, that is pitch perfect every note, but it is first and foremost beautiful. It is utterly beautiful to watch. Mm-hmm. That's where you're like, that is art right there. That specific scene is fucking art. I wonder if that's the one where, like you brought up with True Grit, where he said, this is the scene that makes the movie for me. Is that the scene where he spent the most time of like, I really need to perfect to get all the angles. And so we can get, here's my vision for it. He comes to Sam Mendes and Sam Mendes is like, that is amazing. You definitely can do that. Let's do that. Like, he's working with Mendes again. So it's obviously him and like the Coens. It's a collaborative kind of thing.
Right.
Which it's beautiful to see. It's like, we're both artists. So let's make this art together.
Yeah.
And damned if that movie isn't. And there's a million other shots, like driving through just the simple thing of the Scottish Highlands and the pullback on that. It's beautiful, but that scene is some of the best within cinema, regardless of action movie or what have you, blockbuster type of thing.
I think the shots of Daniel Craig when he's walking down that hallway. And he comes into that shot of him, just the eyes are lit up. You can see the ferocity of where he's at, just watching him walk in the dark in the hallway. And then boom, he's there. I think it's near the beginning of the movie. But then also, as you said, that fight is great to bring up. Absolutely, Matt. But also I think the stuff at the end where you see Javier Bardem silhouetted against the house that is on fire as he comes walking towards Bond and what he wants to do to Bond, or even Bond in the house when the helicopter shows up and you see the lights from the helicopter pouring through the holes in the house that have been exploded into there by the earlier battle from just a few minutes ago. All of that is great as well. And even the shots when he goes, he's at Hong Kong or Thailand or Singapore, wherever he goes, and you see, and he goes to that bar and you see like the dragon designs or the Asian designs there in the red and yellow light.
Boat thing coming in.
Boat thing, yes.
Just that was part of the trailer to help sell it. And it definitely was a good thing to put in. It was excellent because it doesn't give you any of the plot really. No. So it's just a gorgeous thing to look at.
Yeah.
But it does set the scene, so nicely.
Mm-hmm. My favorite Bond film. Yeah. It's not even close. It's just a gorgeous film.
For modern sensibilities, it gets the seriousness with the right amount of stakes. And Javier Bardem is a fantastic Bond villain.
He really is.
They go to that now deserted island, but it was built up. That's a real place.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was a prison colony, but it was some sort of manufacturing something or other. But anyway, just the composition and the scope, trying to take this really unique location and give it the character within the scenes and still facilitate the story.
Yeah. And even the scene with the train coming through.
Sure.
When they're like, even the shots of him when he takes the thing out of his mouth.
His jaw.
Oh, the way it's
cyanide
lit.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Just great work, man. Just great work. Edward Wilshire says the fire over the lake is chef's kiss. And he says the final stand at the house is so well shot. Totally true. All right, so where are we at?
That was our 4, I guess.
Yes. What's your 3?
My 3 is 1917.
That's my 3. Well. Here we go.
It's working out nicely. We do have one different in the
Certainly
top
the
two thus far.
Yeah.
But all right, so we're close on a lot of these. 1917, it's the combination of as much a single shot and then how they composed doing that. I mean, that initial descent into the trenches, and you just feel ever so slowly within frame, the walls get bigger and bigger, and it becomes a more and more claustrophobic environment where now you're surrounded by death.
Yep.
At all times when you're in this. And that's where, and then the end of the film is him coming out of the trenches to stop death. You know, the wave that's about to, the tsunami wave that's about to crush their army. But I mean, so many, it's like, it's almost a, where to begin with the number of shots that I love in this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when they're walking and when they initially start their walk and through that wasteland, or no man's land, and you're seeing all the, you know, the I don't know, pits in the land, and there's water in it, and you're seeing all the different body parts and the bodies and all the things that are broken. All of it as they're walking through it it's something out of a horror scene. When the German pilot comes down and all of that, how that all plays out, so well shot. But you're right. And then when the explosions start to happen in the battle and he's running along the ridge as the explosions are happening is incredible. When he's down in the actual trench and he's going through the trench as well, all of that has is incredibly well composed. And the stuff at night when he finds the girl in that city in France, in the basement, living down there, the whole shots at night of the orange and the glow of war against what he's trying to do. Yeah.
There's whole YouTube series about how they shot this.
Oh yeah.
But the set that they built for that little French town or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And how they had to, because they made, you know, models. So then they're choreographing the camera movement, and he's got to be part of that process and help troubleshoot. Okay. So how can we get from point A to point B like Sam wants to do? Okay. Well, and just game planning throughout that. It's amazing. Just the feat. And I love that the beach scene, because if you see the shot on top of the shot, you just see like guys running with cameras, and then there's a pickup truck, and it just got this camera dangling off of it. And it looks like the most well-funded you and a bunch of your buddies went out to make a movie. And that's how good they are, is when anybody is that good at something, they make it look that easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a testament to that when you're watching. You're like, look at, I mean, this seems like so much fun for them, for you know, the guys that are shooting this.
Right. Well, even the sequence when they're you know, in the bunker and it blows up, right? And they've got like they're all covered in dust. The way he lights them as they're covered in that dust, trying to figure out how to get out of that situation, is incredible as well. You know, and the scope when they finally arrives at the battle. The scope of that is just stellar, and the grass. I mean, the grass is so green. The way he makes that grass look so vibrant and green, to kind of juxtapose to what they've just been at, you know, in those trenches. Just really smart cinematography from top to bottom in this movie, man. Yeah, and the movie doesn't work without him. Without his cinematography, no fucking way does that movie work at the level that it does.
I don't think it captures your attention long enough to go on the journey with these people.
Yeah.
So you're not as committed to it, I think, emotionally.
No.
At least I wouldn't be, because you don't know these two actors.
No.
Like, it's like, oh, that dude was on Game of Thrones, and you have to go, oh yeah.
Right.
It's like they're two unknowns, and there are nice cameo roles from more well-known actors.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's the compositions and the pacing and, you know, everything that they did choice-wise that really makes this engaging.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. So that was our 3.
Yeah. So what's your 2?
My 2 is the punt from earlier. Oh, brother.
Okay. Go ahead, my man.
It was one of the first movies that I can recall where I wanted to learn everything about how they shot that. And you can also find that on YouTube, but early YouTube, I found that. It was like, how did they, what did they achieve? But I also had a DVD with some of the extras, and they talked about the cinematography and everything that they did there, because I was fascinated by it. To shoot the entire thing in this sepia tone almost really gives it a nostalgic throwback feeling, like it's a distant memory that's foggy for all of us about what America was. And it's populated by these over-the-top characters, but they're interspersed kind of throughout.
Yeah.
But then the shots, like when they're running away on the chain gang and they just keep dropping out of sight into the crops. And then they're timing it out, but the camera is just so far back that you just see it. It's a great comedic effect in the middle of a dramedy. But one of the best. That movie is so good. But it was when looking at his body of work, I know this is top 2 for me in that I talk about all the choices that he made that really sell the movie as a whole for you. And I can go scene by scene of what I love in that movie, just like you can.
Yeah. I love that movie.
But I think because he got to make such a distinct choice from frame one.
Yeah.
It helps really cement him being a part of this project to me more so than other films.
I think you're 1,000% correct, Matt. Honestly, I think you're 1,000% correct because it was such a gutsy decision to treat the film. And I don't remember if they treated it after they shot it or before they shot it.
I think it was in post, and then they ran it through 3 different like inks or whatever the processing chemicals it is to render 3 different shades, and then they composited between. I believe that's what it was, so they could get like some silvers and some browns and other things and bring in the tone of harkening back to colorizing old black and white film.
Right. And it makes all the sense in the world when you watch it. It's just, you're right. That scene, they're popping up out of the crops. That's great stuff too. But also the scene in the movie theater and the way that light bounces off Turturro's face when he's being like, "Do not seek the treasure," or with the
cross.
Yeah, the cross,
burning cross.
Everything about that whole sequence is chilling as hell. Even with the comedy that's there, with that the guys are dressed up as the KKK guys, which I think is a little bit of an homage to Blazing Saddles. But yeah, you're right. The cross is unsettling, and the look in Goodman's face when he lifts up the thing, you're just like afraid for that.
What about the guy playing the devil who's trying to capture Muddy Waters?
Yeah,
in essence. But every time you see like flames and it's reflected back from his shades that he wears at night. Yes. So the shot is just this close up of him and you just see like flames dancing in his eyes. Yeah. It's just like, this film is a lot of fun.
You're right, dude. And remember the scene where they escape with the kid driving the car?
Oh yeah. Are you in an OFT?
All of that and the fire in the barn at that night as they're peeling out of there is all great. The scene with the what do they call them? The sirens. The scene with the sirens. Yeah. The way that shot is the way the camera's moving as all that is happening. You're just like, oh my god.
Tim Blake Nelson freaking out because Daddy got turned into a frog.
They loved him up and turned him into a horned toad.
He is such a good actor.
And just like you said, the Mighty Pickin' and that whole scene with in the record
when they're recording, but the Stephen Root, that's a mighty fine picking and a grinning, or whatever he says. Oh no, it's mighty fine singing and a dancing.
Yeah, it's great stuff there as well. And then the end stuff with the water coming in, and like you said, with the devil guy, like just kind of looking up, and all of that plays out. Just works so well, man. He knew what to do with that.
You can feel his stamp across the entire film.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then my number 2 is obviously the punt from earlier from you, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Dude, I don't know. As I get older and I revisit this movie, it moves higher and higher up my list of the greatest Westerns ever, man. And I rewatched a little bit of it in preparation because I'll take any excuse to watch that movie. And just the shots here, the composition of the shots, and I know we're saying this over and over again, but like you got to understand with a film like this, how he is placing everything, how he's shooting everything to put you in the mood of a Western, sort of put you in a realistic world that the quote unquote Western exists in. For the movie. And he does such a phenomenal job. Like when Brad Pitt is coming to visit that dude, you can see him coming over the ridge, just the solo character on the horse coming down to visit him. The shots where he's putting his hands through the vegetation is very similar to the Gladiator shot where he's putting his hands across some of the vegetation. It's stellar. Him standing above just the shots of him standing above. The whole train, when they take over the train in the first few minutes of the movie, all of that with Sam Shepard, all of that is stellar. Then when you go into the town later on in the movie and some of that is like blurred out as he's kind of navigating the town, all of that is so well done. And then you go out there and see all the stuff he does with Casey Affleck and his journey and the way he puts that camera there and the conversations and all of that just brings that film so much to fucking life. And Brad Pitt, I think it accentuates what Brad Pitt was already doing to bring Jesse James to life and his interpretation of it. It adds even more weight to what Brad is doing. And you can just sense that, and I wonder, dude, I've only done a couple of films, man, small films. I can't even imagine what it's like to work with a cinematographer when you're a superstar and you're like, okay, what are you doing? What's the composition of the shot? What do you need from me? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure the great ones are very much in conversation with the cinematographer,
I'd assume so, or they have a shorthand. Type. I think in different hands, this ends up as like a Terrence Malick film to me, which I'm not going to watch.
Yeah, fair.
I don't like, his meandering for whatever reason. And I love that. I'm a huge Paul Thomas Anderson fan.
Right.
The Master to me is perfection. That thing doesn't have much of a point.
Yeah.
But I am enthralled within it. Whereas Malick just has never done it for me. And I think Assassination of Jesse James, kind of why I more than likely didn't see it at the time and came to it afterwards. I wish I'd seen this on the big screen when it was initially in that Oscar run.
So incredible, man.
Yeah, but the reviews I heard back and I was like, you know what? I'm going to see these other things because I think they have a shot at winning.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's ridiculous. It should have won Best Cinematography. I can't remember. Oh, There Will Be Blood won Best Cinematography that year, but I think the cinematography in this film is better than There Will Be Blood. Will Be Blood is better film, possibly. You could argue that. We could have a debate over that, but I think the cinematography in here is just.
Well, he did the cinematography in No Country as well. He did 2 that year?
Yeah. 2007. He did both of them in the same year.
Fuck, that's a hell of a year.
No shit.
That's a hell of a year.
Well, you think about him coming, and this is a British guy, by the way, bringing to life these Westerns.
Yeah.
It's incredible. One modern.
Does it over and over.
Yeah, he does. The scene of Brad Pitt walking down the train tracks with the smoke of the train. He's holding the lantern. That's incredible. The shot where they're Casey Affleck is replaying the killing when he's on stage, the stage lights and how they bounce off the floor and frame him there. All of that is just stellar work in the composition of it all, and I don't know, even the shots in the bar when they're far away and you see the smoke of the bar and they're having the drink, just the simple, quick shots, even bring it to life in such incredible ways. And he uses the sun so well in this movie for Jesse James to frame him in certain ways. I don't know. I could talk about this movie for 7 hours, man. I just love this fucking film so much.
Well, there you go. Well, that's your 2.
It's my 2.
Our number 1, then, I'm assuming, is Blade Runner 2049.
Yes, it is. Blade Runner 2049.
Man. Woo! Okay, just as much for me as Oh Brother.
Yeah.
But he got to make so many choices on this.
Yeah.
And it's a futuristic movie that actually kind of feels plausible.
Yes.
But the cold warmth of the city versus when they're out with Batista on that almost Dust Bowl era kind of farm.
Yeah.
And the duality of how you're going to shoot both of those and bring them to life within the same world. So it all makes sense. And they go out to Vegas in the vividness of this desert landscape. And then the shots, like how they get to, over and over and over, you see things through like foggish, like on that farm scene early on. God, that movie is it is beautiful.
It's like in every film, there are moments where you could be like, okay, I'm not seeing too much of the cinematography. Here's a simple scene.
Yeah.
This is the one movie where there are no simple scenes in the composition of every shot. Every shot is incredibly well composed to put you in the mood of that movie and never let you out of the mood of that movie. You're right. And dude, if the movie poster show the 20 movie posters they issued for this movie all convey the cinematography of Roger Deakins, that tells you how much of a masterpiece this fucking movie is. You're right. From the smoke at the beginning to where you get him in the rain talking to the the AI that he has a thing for.
Yeah.
When he's gotten beaten up and he sees that AI come and talk to him with the different colors that she has, Harrison Ford where he's at, and the sepia tone or the dust.
Oh yeah, out of nowhere, and it makes all the sense in the world too. Because you left the city with its coldness and its fake warmth,
right,
out to the outside world.
Yeah. And even the shots at the end where they're having that fight in the water with the replicant and him, and all of that in the two cars and all of that, that's incredibly well composed. And then when what's her face shows up in that CGI type of thing to try to trick him, or even the framing of when that replicant is born right in front of Jared Leto and he cuts her throat or her stomach or whatever, that whole sequence, the way it's shot and the way it's lit, it's just like, whoa, man. He's on a whole, him and Villeneuve were on the next level of composition of a movie, man. It really is one of the, I don't know, you could argue it's one of the top 10 greatest films ever composed, period. I don't know. I could make that case. It's just such a beautiful fucking movie.
It is.
And even shot at the end with Gosling when he's on the steps and the snow is slowly coming down on him, Matt. It's so good.
Yeah. When just that overhead shot of him on the stairs. God, it is like you just walk out going, well, at least I did. Having my initial discussion is not about the plot. It's about what I just saw, the spectacle I just witnessed. And then I get to the plot and discuss that. I'm not saying it's not amazing because we both really enjoyed that movie.
Yes.
But I was captivated first and foremost by how gorgeous this thing was just to look at over and over and over again, consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It very closely edges Oh Brother. Both of them, I think, it's just choice after choice after choice really benefits the story as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, there's our separate top 10 lists of films with Roger Deakins as cinematographer. And now we're going to compile this list and come up with the show's top 10 and count it down for you. Don't forget, we're also going to read Mr. Rivera's list, and we're going to do shout outs at the end for all you patrons of the show. And of course, if you want to, you go to patreon.com/the top 10, the number 10 there. And go see the tiers that you can donate at and give us some love. Give us some love. All right.
All right. So Blade Runner would be number 1.
Okay.
Do we want to say that 1917 Skyfall since that's our
sure. 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. And then where'd you have Oh Brother?
Number 8.
Okay, I've got Assassination of Jesse James at 8.
Oh, sounds like the coin flip.
All right, where is it?
Do you got one?
I got the Batman Superman coin.
Oh boy! All right,
here you go.
See what happens.
All right, Jesse James is your winner.
Yeah, finally. It's nice to win one every once in a while.
I feel like you should be wearing a red hat right now.
How dare you? How dare you? You take that back.
I could say Sicario next.
Okay.
Because that was 5, 6,
yeah,
5,
6,
7, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Shawshank, I have it 6.
I have it at 9.
Where'd you have No Country?
It's 5.
All right, so No Country.
Okay.
Shawshank.
Okay.
And then we have, I guess, 2 different on the bottom. I have True Grit at 9.
I have Fargo at 7, but
okay. Well, Fargo would make it.
Okay.
Unless you can nominate whatever the hell you'd like there, because technically it's your spot at this point. Okay.
Put True Grit there. Just put True Grit.
All right. True Grit. You want Fargo next?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Done.
There we go. Done and done. All right. I had to put True Grit. Mason Satcher, put True Grit in there, John. I know, Mason. I know. All right. Let's count this thing down. The top 10 films with Roger Deakins as a cinematographer. Yeah. At number 10,
Fargo.
At number 9,
True Grit.
At number 8,
The Shawshank Redemption.
At number 7,
No Country for Old Men.
At number 6,
Sicario.
At number 5,
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
At number 4,
The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
At number 3,
Skyfall.
At number 2,
1917.
One film with Roger Deakins as cinematographer is
Blade Runner 2049.
boom. There you go. That's our list. A good list of movies.
And we have Josh's list.
Yeah, let's hear it. Josh Rivera.
And he says, this was a hard list to make, and I'm sure I've missed a lot of other candidates. I can't wait to hear what your personal rankings are. P.S. You can read my list off at the end of the show. I won't be able to. Yeah, okay. Number 10, he has The Man Who Wasn't There.
See?
Let's see. Not
Beautifully
just
composed
film movie, yeah, but a film from Deakins that makes you appreciate black and white cinematography. Deakins should make more films like this. 9, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He's got postscripts for all these. I'm just going to read through the Shawshank Redemption, The Big Lebowski.
That's 7. Okay.
Skyfall.
Ooh, it's 6. Come on,
6.
man.
No Country for Old Men.
Okay. 5.
Fargo.
4. Okay.
And then I'll read his posts on, so The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford is number 3. And he says, a beautifully shot Western from Deakins that hardly anyone talks about. Love it whenever Rocha brings it up on one of his lists.
Yeah.
2, Blade Runner 2049. Still can't believe this was the first Oscar Deakins won. Well-deserved. And finally, at number 1, he has 1917. It is the peak of what's possible in the cinematic art form. And that is a blurb from Dan Murrell.
Wow.
So I didn't know we were quoting people we knew, but I will bring in a quote next week for one of mine.
And far be it to just esteemed colleague Dan Morrow, but I think Blade Runner 2049 is the peak of what cinematography can do.
That's right. And that is attributed to Dan Murrell. Then he said, also check out my podcast, Team Deakins, where he speaks with someone who's well-known in film and talks about movie-making experience. Notable guests have included Joel Edgerton, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Josh Brolin, among others.
That's his podcast?
No, he said you should check out
the
Team podcast, Deakins. Team Deakins.
Yes, I can understand that for sure.
I didn't know that existed. I might check that out. Thank you very much, Mr. Rivera.
I remember when Collider Frosty interviewing him, I was like, you have no idea what you're talking about. It was tough to see. So I want to listen to that podcast and hear people who understand Deakins well.
Was that just a shot across Frosty's bow?
A little bit. Just because you can get the interview doesn't mean you should do the interview. That's my point. All right. What's the where are we at next? Doing the shout outs? Is that what we're doing here?
We are doing shout outs.
Okay.
I only met him like twice. I don't really know the dude at all. But
who's that? Deakins?
No, Frosty. Deakins I've met 30 times. Frosty just once or twice.
You've met 30 times.
Easy. I did a family reunion of his like 2 years ago. Dude, it's before the pandemic. It was fun.
Oh.
His family gets down.
It's a funny guy.
Yeah, they get drunk and they get a little depressing, but until they get depressing, it's a lot of fun. I had a blast. And this is from somebody who doesn't drink.
There you go. All right. Let's do this thing. I have it up.
All right. So this is our shout out we do for everybody who supports the show at $5 and above over at patreon.com/the top 10. You get a shout out at the end of the month. It's our way of saying thank you very much. And our first one is Mason Sasser.
All right. Roby RKS.
Pele Cole.
Eric Taylor.
Deepak Mauer.
David Stephen.
Christine Biernat.
Andrew Robinson.
Francisco Ramirez.
Michael Bauer.
Colton Thompson.
Henrik W. Winterland.
Tom Daniel Williams.
Phil Knuckles.
Ryan Latonin.
Ray Roche.
Colson Kouliopoulos.
Callie Onken.
Justin Kelly.
Lachlan Skinner.
Charles Kim.
Joseph Curran.
Fred Castillo.
Edward Wilshire.
J. Scotty Sinclair.
Sup, J. Scotty. Charles J. Clark.
Zachariah Kaufman.
Jeff Dickin.
Sean Labua.
Francisco J. Torres.
Connor Teal.
Michael D. Dyke.
Robert Francesco Suarez.
Tim Reimert.
Dominic Greaves.
Eric Bruin.
Matt Simmons.
Kyle Beckworth.
Jeff Kelly.
Jeremy Bowers.
James Petty.
Billy Gilliams.
Christopher Brockman.
Blake Gant.
Haley Morton.
Cameron Chapman.
Alex Russell.
Bobby Michael.
Paul Cree.
Drew Burkhart.
Stacy Flores.
Luke Allison.
Mark Fawcett.
Kristen Kurtz.
Bobby Carney.
Bobby. Gareth Weldon.
Ian Horner.
Timothy R. Williams.
Chris Lemke.
Nick Baldwin in love with movies.
Johanna Linaverta.
JIC 317.
The DJ himself, Mr. Red Hot Cox.
Ahmad Ali.
Darren Bush.
Angela Dashner.
Louis Berrigan.
Josh Lawrence.
Chelsea Lewis.
Adelardo Fuente.
Regan Lovig.
Rodrigo Valverde III.
Manuel Rivera.
Lawrence Witt.
Andre Konstantinescu.
Steve Schlackebeyer.
Catherine Samuels.
Houston Bodily.
Roque Ariana.
Maurice Robinson.
Alan Snuffleupagus Bennett.
Marcus Davenport.
Brandon Caridi.
Ravi Prasad.
Joe Farrelly.
Charlie McKenna.
Mark Menchaca.
Josh Mabry.
Matthew Jansen.
Ben Cartwright.
Juan Reyes.
Josh Murphy.
Josh Sachs.
George Menchaca.
Dale Varley.
Cody Markham.
Phil Neglia.
Chris Consiglio.
Wayne Murphy.
Ashley Prowls.
Johanna Schmidt.
Sujayanth Fernando.
Ian Break Beltran Lopez.
Evan Zoller.
Thorsten Amuler.
Eric Bloor.
Zach Butts.
Jacob Pullen.
Philip Lane.
Kevin Fuss.
Jen Kemp.
What's up, Jen? Ryan McKenna.
Andy Tan.
Brian Akins.
Mike Shea.
Alexander Marzonia.
Tyler Spots.
Garth Wisenant.
Mike Barrington.
Ed Buskirk.
Jeff Saliba.
Noel Kelleher.
Jim Payne.
David Mitchell Baker.
Andy Ortiz.
John Keefe.
Nathan Williams.
Kristen Smith.
Matthew Lee Cravens.
Marcel Berman.
James Trapani.
Drew Enns.
Dan Nye.
Seth Shearer.
Andrew Marker.
Chris Jones.
Luke Larson.
Chris Cabrera.
Robert Haley.
Joey Anthony.
Christos Alexakos.
And Anthony Casanova.
Well, our thanks to all of you that support us over at patreon.com. And that is our way of saying thank you to you.
Absolutely.
And excellent topic today. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. And thanks to everybody who joined us today live. All of our $10 and above patrons, Mason Sasser, Drew Entz, Edward Wilshire, instead of James Petty. Thank you very much. And if there's anyone else I missed, I don't think so. I think that's everybody. So thank you all so much for joining us live. This is a perk you get. If you're a $10 and above patron, get to hang out with us live from 12 to 1:30, 1:45 every second and fourth Thursday of the month, so that we can do the show and you get it ahead of times. You get ahead of time than everybody else. So it's a perk. And you can do that at join at www.patreon.com/the-top-10 and sign up for the tiers. If you want to be part of Topic Thunder as well, that's at the $5 tier, Matt.
So please join us over there. If you want to follow any of our onlines, it's at Top 10 Show all spelled out on Twitter. And then on Instagram and YouTube, it is / the top 10 podcast with the number 10. So please hit us up at any of those. And you can follow me anywhere at Matt Knost. Check out Settle the Score and Dropping Dimes, my other 2 shows. And that is it for me this week.
Yeah, and you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. All my other podcasts as well, the Cinephiles, the Buddies, all those are there. And please head on over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. So much going on over there. More reactions, more reviews. All of it's been happening in the last couple of weeks now. Hope you guys have been noticing it. And giveaways. We're doing a lot of giveaways as well. So come over there and hang out with us. And let's have some fun. All right. That's it. That's it, right?
That is it.
All right. Take care of yourselves. Be well. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the Top 10.